Hey, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, it don't work without you guys. So let's get open for business here. And let's wake up my football gods this morning. All right, man. It is Tuesday. That's right. It's Tuesday already, and the time is just rolling by. We're already into March, and we've restarted the clock down here. We got 10 days, 8 hours, 12 minutes, and 50 seconds before the beginning of the end of tagging someone. So we have this amount of time to figure out if we're going to tag Dak Prescott or Amari Cooper or anybody else instead. The Cowboys, we know, are working on Amari Cooper's deal. We know they're going to tender Blake Jarwin. We've heard them talk about wanting to bring back Randall Cobb as well as Robert Quinn. Now, the Dallas Cowboys always are the last-minute type players when it comes to getting deals done. A lot of people have speculated, the Cowboys really aren't sold on Dak Prescott. That's why they haven't done the deal. And I want to clarify everything about the franchise tag. It's funny because I've been saying all along that the franchise tag, which would be the exclusive, would be $33 million. People beat me down and said, "Oh no, it's $27 million for the franchise tag," and I'm like, "No, it's not. It's 33. It's 33, the exclusive tag, because the Cowboys, contrary to popular belief, they could use the transition tag, which would drop it down to $27 million. Other teams would have the opportunity to try and get him with compensation. Cowboys don't want to do that. They were thinking that we want this to be short term. We'll put the exclusive tag on it. We'll try and trade him. Well, a couple of problems with that is you basically say, we have no faith. We really want to get rid of you. And you want your quarterback to feel like we love you. We want you to be part of it, and you want to have a good relationship. And actually, let me play this clip. Somebody had sent it to me from Colin Cowherd with Jane Slater talking about it. And I want to clear up a couple of things, because a lot of times what you get when you hear these things are assumptions that may not be the case. So let's listen to it, and then we'll talk about it.
Cowboys or not, story today, they're going to go exclusive franchise tag, which means we'll pay it for a year and kick the tires. So we're going to bring on Jane via the Coward Global Satellite Network. Okay, let's start with this. What does Dak's side want? What does Dak's side want, Jane?
They want a deal that's more 4 years aligned with about a $35 million a year price tag. Now, the Cowboys want that deal to obviously be longer, but I'm told the strategy here is for them to have that 4-year deal so that Dak Prescott, in the peak of his career, can come back to the bargaining table. Keep in mind, you've got deals like Deshaun Watson that have to get done, and Patrick Mahomes, and Todd France, his agent, trying to be shrewd here. What I didn't realize was that Dak was actually his first quarterback client, Joe Burrow his second, so possibly trying to make a splash with this particular deal. But I reported this summer they weren't going to take a hometown deal. As Stephen Jones characterized it to us this combine, they had sidelined conversations back in September. Basically, the Cowboys had their side. Todd France and his team had their side. They weren't making any inroads, so they tabled those discussions. Now, it's my understanding they did have talks at Combine. I was told that the goal here is still to get that long-term deal done. But as you are hearing that report coming out today, the Cowboys have also said they're not afraid to use that franchise tag, and that could very well take place here.
We were saying earlier, Tony Romo is going to make $17 million per year to be a Cowboy, to be a broadcaster in the NFL, and Troy Aikman does well, and Michael Irvin. Once a Cowboy quarterback, you are an NFL icon seemingly for life. Roger Staubach, that's just the reality of it.
That worked out great.
Is Jerry selling that? Would Dak take a little bit of a pinch or a pay cut for that?
No.
It's certainly been part of the campaign rollout. We've heard Emmitt Smith come out and at least say that. And look, I get it. But at the end of the day, this is a business. And even Stephen Jones has said, look, the salary cap is our problem, not Dak's problem. And it isn't Dak's problem. If you look at, Dak was a 4th-round pick. He was 4th on the depth chart when Tony Romo got hurt his rookie season in camp. And he has stepped into that role admirably. Think of all the things that he's been through. He filled in for Tony Romo, galvanized that locker room, took him to this playoffs his first year. He dealt with the suspension of Ezekiel Elliott for 6 games. He had to deal with a wide receiver and then tight end by committee another year. And then think of all the voices that he's had to contend with in the quarterback's room. Wade Wilson, his rookie season. Then he had Kellen Moore, Scott Linehan. Then, of course, he had Kellen Moore and John Kitna. Now he's going to get Doug Nussmeier and Mike McCarthy. So I think what he's done is he's done a good job continuing to be the face of this franchise. He is the same guy on the field as he is off of it. He is a natural leader. Talk to guys in that locker room, both veteran and the young guys that come in. He's the guy that you want. You didn't have a problem paying Marcus Lawrence and Ezekiel Elliott. Why are you having a problem paying Dak Prescott? That is really kind of the tone and the energy coming from Dak Prescott in his camp. And so I don't anticipate them taking any pay cuts here. And quite frankly, I think a lot of people out there that know Dak, and I'm talking just his own teammates, say pay him. He certainly deserves it.
Okay. Now, that's what you get from Jane Slater. Now, understand, Colin Cowherd, of course, is doing like everybody does, trying to get clicks. And the assumption that the way he came out with that is, oh, well, they franchise tagged him, they're not going to pay him, it's going to be, that's it, we're done. That's not the way it is. What you do with the franchise tag, understand this, come the 12th of this month, 10 days, 8 hours, 7 minutes, and 15 seconds from now, is the end of the period to tag somebody. Come the 16th of March, another key day, is when players and agents are allowed to talk to other teams. I don't know why they don't just say the league year starts on the 16th, but you can have legal tampering before the start of the season, which is the 18th. In which case, if they do not have a deal in place for Dak or tag him by then, he can talk to anybody and you get 0 compensation. Nothing. He is a free agent. So a couple of things. People say trade him. You can't trade somebody who is not under contract for you. Other people will say, well, franchise tag him and trade him. There's a problem with that too. It's just not that easy. Just because you put a franchise tag on somebody, you still don't own them until they sign. Let me say that again. If you franchise tag a player, it doesn't mean anything until the player signs. And the player's leverage is not signing it until they absolutely positively have to. Because then you can't do anything with them. Now, come April 15th is when players start reporting to start working out and having contact with the team. But putting this franchise tag on him gives you until July 15th to negotiate a long-term deal. If you do not get it done by July 15th, then you cannot renegotiate it until after the season. So what getting the franchise tag does is it ends up buying you time. Very rarely do you have players that actually go through the season on a franchise tag. We did 1 year with DeMarcus Lawrence. You know that most players do not want to. We know Kirk Cousins did twice. Of course, he ended up being pissed off, left, and here it is, the Washington Redskins, after spending already 4 number ones over the last 9 years on quarterbacks, look like they might use another number one. And we don't want to get into a situation like the Redskins have where they're still trying to find a quarterback. So that's where we are. Now, understanding the cap. I had a question about what does that cap mean? Well, the cap is currently 47% of the gross revenue. 53% goes to the owners for operating, running the team, profit, all of that. 47% is the cap number of money that's supposed to be spent on the players. If the new CBA is passed, that compensation will go to 48.5%, making about another, well, basically, through the course of the CBA, 10 years, they're saying that difference will make about a $5 billion difference over the life of that, which is $500 million a year on average. So they're supposed to spend that amount of money, or they can spend up to that amount of money each year on players' compensation. So when you look at it right now, the cap is going to be $200 million at this moment. It'll change once the CBA is ratified, if it's done before the 15th of April. And going into the season, the Cowboys currently have $123 million that are cap numbers. Now, where it gets to be tricky is bonus money is prorated over the life of the thing. So you may have a person who's averaging $35 million a year, but their cap hit may only be like 25. So be that as it may. So just pay attention to the cap hit. So the Cowboys have $77 million of cap money that they can spend left over right now. So they need to sign Amari Cooper to a long-term deal. They need to sign Dak Prescott. You know, they're trying to work on bringing back Randall Cobb, Robert Quinn, and any other free agents. So hypothetically, if you keep that tag, that is $33 million hard money. It cannot change. That is deducted from your cap. If you get a long-term deal, the Cowboys are looking for a longer one, like a 6-year deal. Dak's looking for like a 4-year deal, so that way he can renegotiate in 4 years. You can say $100 million is guaranteed money. That is then divided by the number of years of the contract. So that's $25 million a year that you're paying for guaranteed money. You could turn around and say your first year's salary is going to be $1 million, which means you get $26 million for a cap hit. So if you get a $26 million cap hit versus 33, the Dallas Cowboys now have $7 million more to play with, as opposed to that hard cap number. And you can front load, you can back load the contracts, and there's other ways that once you have the contracts and things, you can basically use it as a kiddie bank, you know, a payday loan, so to speak, like they did with Tony Romo. You restructure the agreement. It's not giving money back. What it is turning more money into guaranteed money. They've in the past had to do that with Tyron Smith a couple times because they were way over the cap. So hopefully that gives you guys at least a little bit into capology and what's going on in that. The best thing for the Dallas Cowboys is get this deal done and get as much cap relief on this year, because next year the cap is going to take a big jump up because of the new CBA, provided it gets signed. Okay? All right, with that being said, I've got to go ahead and get up out of here. I got my day job to go to. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. I'll see you soon.